Hey yo, last week I took one of my favorite shots, and it's also one of the most popular ones that I've posted online. It wasn't supposed to be a controversial picture. It's this one. I didn't even mention saying Maul would win or anything like that, but I did get like a good chunk of comments on Instagram about how Maul would never touch Vader or would ever get a scratch in and all that. And yeah, I think Vader would win. I do believe that Maul would at least get one hit in, right? But anyway, I really like it. It got a lot of hits, and I also got a lot of questions about it, like different parts in it. I'm not going to do a thorough editing going through how I did everything, but I am going to kind of break each layer down and just show what I did. And there are a few things that I might make a full tutorial on later, but let's check it out. As far as the setup goes, I'm using this custom diorama that I made. It's supposed to be kind of like in the mountains, like an outside vibe. But it wasn't going to be like a main part of the shot because I knew I wanted it to be close up. I did use my 100mm macro lens for this, so it's going to get some nice details. Of course, the stars of the show are going to be the Play 112 Darth Maul figure, as well as the new Black Series Battle Damaged Kenobi figure. Definitely two of my favorite figures. That's kind of why I wanted to do this shot, was like I feel like I can just constantly be taking pictures of these two figures so much that I was like, let me just put them together and make some cool shots. I used some of this footage for my last video talking about shaping light, but I did use two lights for this. One I had focused on Maul, and I had my little cinefoil on the side to block the light from hitting the diorama because I didn't want the diorama lit up like more than it needed to be. So I kind of had it very controlled. And I didn't mind it hitting Vader. I could have easily closed off both sides of the light, but I didn't mind that lights hitting the right side of Vader, kind of like an edge light for him, and just lighting him up and separating him from the background more. For Vader's main light, I had the cinefoil blocking hitting Darth Maul. So I mainly just wanted it to focus on Vader, and it pretty much wasn't hitting anything else. So it's a very simple setup. And then with the posing, I knew I wanted Vader kind of like turning his head back towards the camera. Sometimes when you're doing some of these action shots, it's hard to get, you know, like a two character, like good shot from both of them. Usually it's like one from behind and then one from the front. But for this one, you know, this is a good way to like show both characters' faces, bringing them both to life kind of. You don't always have to do that, but for this one, like I wanted to showcase like Vader's broken, damaged mask. I knew I wanted him turned around towards the camera, get some of that Anakin face in there. So now that we're in Photoshop, you can see what it looks like without any editing. I think it really looks like a good shot. Post this, hey, I'm okay with that. I think it looks cool. But with Photoshop, we have the power to make it look a little better. I did have a few people comment like, well, that's a ton of Photoshop. Too bad there's no art in it or something like that. I mean, this is 80% of the shot, right? Like it's the two main characters, the emotion. Yeah, I'm going to add some like little special effects here and there, but the meat of the shot is here. Anyway, you know, some people don't like Photoshop, and that's fine with me. I like Photoshop. This is the edited, like this is the final video. You can see all the layers that I already have. And I'm just gonna kind of go quickly through each layer that I did. So the first thing I added was a curves. Actually, I added this one later, but I put it here. But what this is you can see it's just adding brightness to those certain areas. Mainly Maul's eyes and kind of his face, and then kind of around Vader's helmet. Oh, also Vader's eye right here is a very small area. This was something I added towards the end. It's the dodge and burn layer. I put a 50% gray blank layer, and then I use dodge and burn. Also, I switch it to linear light, and then I just kind of brush on the bright parts, and then for the dodge, and then for the burn, I just brush on to the dark parts. You can see some settings up here too, if you want to try that out. I do need to do a video over the dodge and burn. I don't use it like on a ton of stuff for little effects like that. And then I usually lower the opacity, but I guess I didn't do that for this one because it might be a little too strong, but I like the way it came out. Okay, so I didn't do those first. I just put those in afterwards. So let me see. I'm pretty sure the next thing I added was Maul's saber. And so that's just the basic saber that I always do. You can check out the how I edit my sabers video in case you're interested. I feel like I haven't perfected this swoosh, but what I did was getting a copy of the saber. I go to liquify. I just brush it to make that angle. And I don't know if that's the best way. There might be better ways to do it, but that's just the way that I've tried, and I kind of like it. Like I said, it's not perfect and I'm still trying to perfect it. I'll be trying it out some and potentially do a video later. After I get this swoosh, because this is the main one, I did want to add one over here. What I did was I copied the layer, the swoosh layer, and then I have this one, the second layer. So I just copied it and then I flipped it. Like I flipped it horizontally and then I flipped it vertically. And so it was boom, boom, and it came out here. And so I feel like well, it came out over here, but I moved it down. And I really like that I think at first I wasn't planning on doing that bottom saber, but then I realized, it's a double bladed saber. So it's got to come from the bottom too. So then I added that one at the bottom just to give that motion. So after the saber, I guess that was like a carryover part over here that I added. So there's like some basic color adjustments that I did these first actually, not the other curves there, but this is the first one. So basic lighting, increase some contrast a little bit. Then we go to these color adjustments, the color lookups. I think some video like cinema one that I have, and then this one is the film stock from like it's on Photoshop. And then we have this smoke layer or haze layer. And so I did this using some brushes that I made. Like I really like using smoke brushes. I can see how some people might not like them or something. I don't know. But I like to like subtly add them. I mean, it's obvious, it's there, but I don't want it to be like they're in some steam room or something. It's just like to give some kind of haze and extra texture and all that. So I made these smoke brushes and I am trying to make like a little bundle that I'll sell for, like $4 or something. Keep an eye out for those. I've never sold anything like that before, but if you're interested, and it's also supporting me, but yeah, keep an eye out. Those are coming soon. Color of the lightsaber or the color of what I want to paint, and then boom, just paint it on. So then going back down here, what I added, also I forgot to mention this. So starting off with this image, like I should have started with this too. I did use the focus stacking technique. And so I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pictures, and I focus stacked them all together. Like I also have the video for that, breaking that down. It came out really good. That's why you can see his hands in focus, Vader's in focus, but the background's blurry. So it's a bunch of different pictures. It's a bunch of different pictures combined. So going back here, what I added was, I think first I did these sparks, which is just like some overlay that I got from the internet, and I just kind of put them there. I wasn't sure exactly. I feel like I'm always iffy with these sparks, but a little bit can go a long way. So I added those, added some blur just to not make it look so sharp. And then what I did, here's some more that I added coming out. And I really like these ones because I wanted them to be bigger and like kind of like they're coming at you. So this is getting into this burn mark that I'm gonna go over, which I've done this a few times on some different figures, but kind of like the lightsaber swoosh, I'm not 100% confident in like how I do it. So that's why I don't want to make like a tutorial yet. I want to make sure like I know what I'm doing and that it looks good, like for multiple things, not just like a one and done case. So what I did is I just kind of painted like it's kind of how I do some other effects here on Photoshop. But I painted white within the like where I wanted to show some burn marks, and then I made a copy of it. Or then I made just like I said, lightsaber and effects. I made I think 5 copies, 4 copies. Each of them, like I went down and gave blur. Like I think it was like maybe 50, 40, 20, 10, 4 on each one. Like Gaussian blur 50, Gaussian blur 40. And then on the top layer, I made it, I think red. Yeah, like red. And then I added like an orange. And then I went to yellow. And then I made the white kind of yellow too on the main one. I did add some other, like another smoke brush layer. I think it came out all right. Right, the effects, it's not like I think I can get it better and cleaner, but I mean that's how I did this one. If you want to try it out. Also, finishing touch, I did this like little flare on the lightsaber. I've been doing that in some of my recent shots. All right, and then this is one I want to go over. I want to do a video on later. It's like a simple effect, maybe like a 2-minute video or something. I just painted some orange onto Vader. But it's a layer that I made. It's a blank layer. I just used a soft brush and I put soft light, and I just got some orange, which was the orange that I used for that burn mark. And I just kind of painted over some of this area. For this one, I just wanted to focus on his mask and like his face. So like it's burning, the sparks are flying. It's gonna give some color, right? And that's all it is. I just painted that in the soft brush. I mean, the soft light blending mode really, you know, tones it down, isn't as like obvious. It's kind of like blending it into the image. So then now what I do is I combined all of these layers. You can't really see this one, but it's kind of like in my other blending modes. I mean, my other editing videos is I combined all the layers, and then I went to camera raw edit again, and I just kind of tuned it up. And like, that's all I really did is mess with the lighting. I just kind of made the shadows darker, brighter, added some like little grain. But it's just a standard in my other videos. If you see that, the camera raw filter. Sometimes I make layers and I think I'm gonna do something, but then I don't. And then I just make a new layer to do what I was gonna do. So here's where I did it again, soft light. And I just wanted to kind of paint some of this orange on. And it's kind of like, I could have used like a smoke brush, but I just used the regular soft brush. And I just painted some orange all over. Nothing too fancy. And then the final step is I just make a copy of this final layer. Then I apply this high pass filter. And I think it's usually at, I usually do like 4. This one's at 3.9. And then I set it to soft light. And that's just gonna really like bring out a lot of the edges. So you can kind of see, I got to width it on, width it off. Like I really like how it brings out the eye right there. And it's not like an overly processed sharpen. It's really just focusing on the edges. So that's everything on how I set this shot up and how I edit it step by step. If you have any questions over anything that I kind of sped through, let me know in the comments, and go create and inspire.